Councillors in London have voted to close the well-known nightclub Fabric.
Must affect the brain in some way.
Unless it's just the music that does it. Who
All
knows?
them lights flashing don't do you any good either, do it? I wouldn't even go in the pub where them lights are.
Oh, no,
They drive you mad, don't they?
Dubstep, drum and bass, house and techno.
When I was younger, I went to Fabric, and not so much recently.
I've just read about it in the newspapers, that acid house music, I assumed it was something to do with the drug scene.
Turnmills, Pasha, Studio 338, Passing Clouds and Dance Tunnel are just some of the clubs that have had to close their doors. Why now? What's causing this infringement upon an industry the UK is so world-renowned for? Throughout its history, London has given birth to so many cultures and subcultures, from acid house and UK garage to grime and dubstep more recently, having put the UK on the map for its music. Coming here as an outsider and being able to experience these cultures firsthand completely changed my outlook on what London had to offer.
Saturday night in South London, hundreds of young people are gathering for the latest craze, an acid house party in a disused warehouse.
In the 80s, acid house became the defining music for a generation. Acid house was significant for its portrayal in the media. It signified the association of drugs, notably MDMA, with dance music.
Where do you think you're going to?
History tour. We don't know. It's quite a mystery.
That's the mystery about it. This is acid, man.
However, in the past, it's not like other genres haven't faced flack for their drug usage. 70s rock and acid. But from then on, dance music has always faced derogatory representation in the media, when all it actually did was draw in large audiences and help them create friendship and their memories.
Now for the serious bit. Clubland in mourning, or the families of two teenagers who died here this summer after taking super-strength ecstasy. A police report found Ryan Brown had bought one pill inside the club, smuggled in 3 more.
The former Farringdon meat warehouse became a hit with DJs the world over. But the council and police raised concerns about drug use on the premises after 6 deaths in 4 years. According to councillors, there was a culture of drug use, with staff unable to control it.
The tragic death of a patron of any club is of course a traumatic turn of events for the nightlife industry. But the pain and the suffering of family and friends bereaved due to a line or a pill, that's what's truly unimaginable.
Yo, you can have the maximum fucking security lockdown prison in the world with people mostly in isolation and people are still doing crazy amounts of drugs in there. Do you know what I mean? It's like people will get their hands on drugs and do whatever they want to do regardless. So it's like, you know, if it comes down to a situation where you're going to lock everything down, kids are going to have house parties. Do you know what I'm saying? And house parties are completely unregulated. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Especially when, you know, it's going to get crazy like that. I mean, I think, like, sorry to say this so plainly, I don't think that they give a fuck about the kids dying off the drugs. I don't think they give a fuck about, you know, I mean, obviously they do. I think they give a fuck more about the kids dying in their borough or in their constituency than the kids actually dying off the drugs. Do you know what I'm saying? But what it really comes down to is the gentrification aspect and the fact that they had plans for a big museum that they want to build. That club is in the centre of London, right? It's right in the middle, in between the financial district and the West End and the beginning of North London, you know, between the King's Cross, all of that gentrification shit that's happening over there. So it's like, it's prime property. And I know that there's always been a bigger plan, especially, you know, the whole Operation Lenore thing. You know what I mean? It's like, why did they call it fucking Lenore? It's fabric cleaner. They wanted to get it the fuck out of there. I mean, the closure of Fabric has actually kind of showed society how important, you know, electronic music is on the planet, you know, and how important it is in London. London is one of the most important places for I'm not saying it's the most important place for electronic music, and I'm not saying, but I think it is definitely in the top 2 or 3 places in the world, you know, for electronic music. And the fact that there's so much going on here, and everybody from the world comes over here. There's such a melting pot, and so many genres are born here. You know, that needs to be taken into consideration and supported, because that's a national treasure.
In a statement from Islington Council, they said that existing conditions on Fabric's license to prevent serious crimes have not been observed. A culture of drug use exists at the club, which the existing management and security appear incapable of controlling. Now, with this statement, I'd like to ask the council themselves the steps that they have taken within their borough to curb the supply of drugs. They were just out there trying to enjoy the safe London nightlife as well. However, they did land up with tampered illegal substances. And this is what caused their death, not the fact that they were in Fabric taking drugs. Since 2011, there have been 6 drug-related deaths within Fabric. And throughout the rest of the world, whether they be in clubs or whether they be outside clubs, there will always be drug-related deaths because substances will have been tampered with. Our national treasure isn't only under threat from unrealistic drug policies that can probably never be achieved anywhere.
I think the real problem that London has with nightlife is firstly, if Fabric loses that appeal, I can't see any person of sound mind investing money into opening a nightclub if it can be closed down at the whim of the police. Secondly, it's very difficult to live in London now. It's really expensive. You know, when I first started promoting clubs in London, I lived in a squat in Hackney, and you could live on 25 quid a week in London then. And it was actually a really easy place to live in. It was easy for creative people to live in London. And now it's not. It's basically a place where, you know, rich people live, or people, I mean, you know, you spend so much of your income on rent that I think it's become a very difficult place to live a creative life. And that makes it hard, not just for DJs, not just for club promoters, not just for musicians, but artists, writers. There's a whole swathe of other people that, you know, I think it's going to be a tough future for London in the near future, as long as the housing prices are the way they are at the moment. I think it's making creativity a really difficult thing in London, and I really hope that changes, because it's an amazing city that's contributed so much to dance music worldwide.
So throughout the course of filming this documentary, we have had massive setbacks in terms of people not willing to speak to us on camera about the issue, and then going into the issue of trying to contact clubs to get footage and just completely being denied access because of their own legal issues and their own licensing clampdowns which they're facing. And we just completely faced almost a shutdown from venues who weren't willing to have us bring in a camera to their venue just because of the sole reason of their own licensing issues. And throughout this whole time that we have been facing these issues, the only point that comes to my mind is that why are nightclubs and people who are associated with this culture so scared of speaking on camera? It's, you know, seeing it as an outsider, that an outsider to this culture it's very disheartening to see that it's not being appreciated by the people within the city itself, and it's being looked at as a complete, you know, something that shouldn't belong in the city. And it's just being again turned into this playground for the rich. And me coming over from India 3 years ago and actually being able to experience these cultures firsthand, absorb myself in them, has completely changed my outlook on what I was expecting when I first moved here. People are quite angry with the clubbing and nightlife situation in London, and quite rightly so. With the decision of Fabric imminent, people took to the streets of East London, a prime example of where this gentrification is taking place.
We are not going to have any accidents today. The only thing that's an accident that somehow happened was that they started shutting our bloody clubs down. And that is a Norman. Alright, Bennett, is this what it's like to be up front? Like it.
When they say close down, we say close down. Close down.
Well, I think the future is up to us. We make the world and we make the future. And we have to be quite strong about that. We've got a campaign called Save Nightlife, and that is asking people to sign on to savenightlife.com, and that sends an email to your local MP and councillor to tell them what you think of it, and that then has an impact on shaping the outcome, because often people talk about the residents as though the residents all don't like certain things or whatever in the name of the residents, but actually millions of people every week go out in London and Britain, and they love nightlife, you know, whether they're in Glasgow or whether they're in Manchester, Bristol, Brighton or London. We've created the Nighttime Commission with the Mayor of London, and it's about bringing stakeholders together, police, housing, transport, thinking about how we can shape the cities of the future together, not like arguing and fighting and pointing fingers, but saying, you know, this is enormously valuable, we're not a problem, we're all part of the solution, and how do we do that together?
People coming together and fighting for a cause that they truly believe in is perfectly reflective of what dance music preached throughout the 80s and 90s. A unification of society for a cause, regardless of their backgrounds, their race, and their religion, to truly unite society into one. So even though Fabric and the council have come to an agreement and Fabric is going to reopen its doors soon enough, it's only being done under 41 new licensing agreements. Now these agreements are including new ID scanners on the door, and then there's going to be CCTV inside, and in addition to that, anyone found using or asking for drugs inside the venue is going to be given a lifetime ban. Now, when we look at this in itself, it's not really tackling the entire drugs issue, it's just making nightlife more difficult. However, Fabric reopening is a welcome move from the council, and it is good to see that there is this, you know, collaborative work happening between the council and Fabric. When there are institutions such as theatres and museums receiving funding from governments and government-related agencies, why is it that dance music and the culture associated with it is still being demonized in society? When is it going to be taken seriously and actually looked at as real culture created by real people?
Try not to smile too much, just like not normal.
Fuck you all. No, just trying very hard not to smile.
Just like really straight face if you can.